It is inaccurate to compare Theravada and Mahayana, as Mahayana was later emerged from Sarvastivada Buddhism. So, firstly, the major sects of Buddhism can be divided into Theravada, meaning the doctrine of the senior monks, and Sarvastivada, meaning the theory of all exist. Now the commonalities between the two sects. Both of these sects of Buddhist teaching and tradition believe in the notion of the cycle of rebirth from one life or one reality to the next. That's called samsara, literally, the existence of a being from birth to death. Now your goal should be to realize that all is taught to escape from the dukkha, suffering, sorrow, that's truly present in this samsara, and eventually obtain nibbana, Sanskrit, nirvana. Nibbana means extinguishment. The differences between the two sects. In Theravada Buddhism, it is much closer to the original practices or teachings that we see with Buddha. It is very personal journey and also emphasizes to help others by preaching the Dhamma to the laypeople. As for the individuals who truly seek for liberation, they emphasize in practicing meditation, perhaps with some help from teachers, realizing the impermanence, the dukkha, recognizing non-self nature, and eventually, either in this life or in future lives, achieve nibbana. Now Sarvastivada Buddhism needs a bit of intro. Sarvastivadins argued that all dharmas exist in the past, present and future, the three times. Hence they invented thousands of imaginary Buddha idols and celestial deities, to be existing in the three times. Later Sarvastivada got split into many belief systems, of which recent Mahayana, meaning the great vehicle, is the only surviving school, based on Sarvastivadin doctrines and bears almost the same beliefs and traditions. The earliest systematic and most complete collection of early Buddhist sacred text Tipitaka is written in Pali language that was spoken by Buddha himself, and followed by the Theravadins. Whereas Sarvastivadin sacred texts are later written in Sanskrit language that has been used by Vedic Brahmanism. Now let's see what's practiced in Mahayana Buddhism. It actually got divided into various practices due to either diverseness or inconsistency of the doctrinal beliefs. But the general idea is that you might have help as you try to achieve nirvana. Just like the general idea of samsara and goal of nirvana in the two major sects. Someone who achieves nirvana is known as an arahant, so you could see Theravada Buddhism as, hey, try to go on this personal journey to become an arahant, to achieve nirvana. But in Mahayana Buddhism, the pursuit is not necessarily to get to nirvana as quickly as possible. It's because to help others try to achieve that same state. So the real goal is to suspend one's own nirvana and be a bodhisattva. Something seems very weird in tension that Buddha wasn't supposed to teach his disciples. Now the word bodhisattva is seen in both traditions of Theravada and Mahayana. Theravada's only authentic notion of bodhisattva is, it is Gautama Buddha's pre-birth state who didn't yet achieve nibbana but was trying to achieving something like it. He actually wanted to be immortal. But, finally what he found out was the impermanent nature of existence, that nothing can be permanent, and escape from existence is the only way to get out of samsara, which is rather full of uncertainty and dukkha. And it took him a very very long and complicated journey of life after life to realize the truth, because he didn't have anyone else's help or guidance. But now we got his teachings, he made it easier for us to attain nibbana. Back to Mahayana, the rest of sentient beings eventually achieve nirvana, and if you aren't one of the bodhisattvas, you have that help not only from bodhisattvas, but there's a fairly large grouping of celestial beings that are there to help. Focus your meditation and your energy. In the middle here, you see Amitabha Buddha, and a significant chunk of Mahayana Buddhists believe in Amitabha Buddha, and you could view him as someone who's revered or is almost a deity-like figure. And this idea that by visualizing, by focusing, by invoking Amitabha, that you can get to his pure land of bliss known as Sukhavati. And so it's this idea of almost a kind of salvation. That by focusing on Amitabha, you get to this pure land of bliss, which is a place where it is easier to achieve nirvana from, and you can almost view it as something of a heaven. Now what they believe is Amitabha isn't exactly the same figure as the original Buddha. In some traditional belief, the original Buddha is a projection of Amitabha into our reality, something like a Hinduistic avatar of Amitabha. And in some Mahayana belief systems there are multiple realities, each with their own Buddha, and you can be born and reborn into these different realities in the Pure Land. the land of bliss. The Sukhavati is where you might want to go if you are practicing this belief in Amitabha. So at a very high level, Theravada Buddhism is all about a personal journey towards Nibbana and also helping others know the Dhamma. Trying to follow the practice of the Tathagata through meditation, through recognizing the Four Noble Truths, by following the middle way, getting eventually in this life and in future lives to Nibbana, becoming an arahant. Mahayana Buddhism has a more complex pantheon of celestial beings and deities and can be diverse from one part of the world to another. Eventually the goal is for all sentient beings to achieve nirvana. But your individual goal can be better described as delaying nirvana, become a bodhisattva, and assisting all other sentient beings in achieving that nirvana. There are actually the attendant bodhisattvas, female bodhisattva, residing with Amitabha, among those a widely revered one is Kuan Yin. But you don't have just the help of the bodhisattvas, there's also celestial beings, things that you can focus on, things that you can invoke to eventually help you get you to that nirvana.